The Galactic Council's exchange program had seemed like a dream opportunity when Leo first applied. 6 months aboard the Celestial Horizon, humanity's first diplomatic vessel, working alongside representatives from a dozen alien species. He'd imagined himself as an ambassador, a bridge between worlds, someone who would help usher humanity into its rightful place among the stars. He hadn't expected to spend his 3rd week being interrogated by a foxwoman about his apparent obsession with her posterior. Anna stood before him in the observation deck, her rust-colored fur bristling with what Leo had learned to recognize as irritation. She was Vulpinian, from a species that looked remarkably like Earth's foxes had decided to evolve into bipedal, highly intelligent beings. Her species valued directness above all else, which explained why she'd cornered him during his off-shift with the most mortifying question he'd ever heard. "Well?" Anna's amber eyes narrowed, her tail swishing behind her in sharp, aggressive movements. "You've been staring for 3 days now. Is this some human mating ritual I should be aware of?" Leo felt heat rise to his cheeks. "No, God, no. I was looking, but not like that." "Then explain." She crossed her arms, her ears flattening against her skull. "Because in my culture, such behavior is either a challenge or a courtship display, and I'd really like to know which before I respond appropriately." This was exactly the kind of diplomatic incident Leo had hoped to avoid. He took a deep breath, trying to organize his thoughts. How could he explain something so fundamentally human without sounding completely insane? "It's your tail," he finally said. Anna's ears perked up in confusion. "My tail?" "Yes, well, not just yours. All the Vulpinians, and the Felnari. And honestly, anyone on this ship with a tail." Leo ran a hand through his hair, feeling the absurdity of the situation wash over him. "We don't have them. Humans, I mean. We lost our tails millions of years ago, evolutionarily speaking." The foxwoman's expression shifted from irritation to puzzlement. "You lost your tails? How does one lose a tail?" "Evolution," Leo explained, warming to the subject now that he wasn't being accused of inappropriate behavior. "Our ancestors stopped needing them for balance when we became fully bipedal. Over millions of years, they just disappeared. Now we're born without them. Most humans go their entire lives never seeing a real tail on a person." Anna's tail had stopped its aggressive swishing. Now it moved in slow, contemplative arcs. "So when you stare..." "I'm fascinated," Leo admitted. "It's like watching something impossible. You use it for balance, for communication, for emotional expression. I've seen you wrap it around your waist when you're concentrating, flick it when you're annoyed, and puff it out when you're startled. It's an entire language we don't have." For a long moment, Anna said nothing. Then, to Leo's surprise, she laughed, a sharp barking sound that echoed through the observation deck. "You humans are absolutely bizarre," she said, but her tone had lost its edge. "You're telling me that every time I thought you were being a creep, you were actually just admiring my tail?" "Pretty much," Leo said sheepishly. "I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable. I didn't realize how it must have looked." Anna sat down on one of the observation benches, her tail curling around her side. She patted the spot next to her, and Leo cautiously sat down. "This is why the Council was hesitant about humans," Anna said thoughtfully. "You're the only sapient species in known space that evolved without a tail. It makes you unpredictable. We read your expressions differently, interpret your body language wrong." "It goes both ways," Leo pointed out. "Half the time I have no idea if someone's happy or about to attack me. There was this one incident with a Saurian diplomat where I thought we were having a friendly conversation, and apparently I'd been insulting his entire lineage for 20 minutes. Anna's ears twitched with amusement. "I heard about that. Ambassador Crick still brings it up at diplomatic functions." They sat in companionable silence for a moment, watching the stars streak past the observation window. The celestial horizon was in transit between systems, and the light from hyperspace created mesmerizing patterns across the viewport. "Can I ask you something?" Leo ventured. "You just interrogated me about staring at your butt. I think we're past the point of polite boundaries." Leo chuckled. "Fair enough. What's it like? Having a tail?" Anna considered the question, her tail swaying thoughtfully. "It's like asking what it's like to have arms. It's just part of me. I use it without thinking. Although now that you mention it, I suppose it is quite useful." She demonstrated by using her tail to snag a datapad from a nearby console without turning around. See, that's exactly what I mean, Leo said, unable to hide his enthusiasm. That's incredible. Do you know how many times I've wished I could grab something without using my hands? You humans make up for it in other ways, Anna said. Your endurance, for instance. Did you know that you're the only species on this ship that can run for hours without stopping? Most of us are sprinters. We're faster in short bursts, but you humans just keep going. Really? Leo had never thought of it that way. Really? It's actually a bit terrifying from our perspective. In Vulpinian history, there are stories about persistent predators, creatures that couldn't outrun their prey but could outlast them. They'd follow for days until their target collapsed from exhaustion. She looked at Leo with an expression he couldn't quite read. When I learned that humans evolved as persistent hunters, that they used to chase animals until they died of heat exhaustion, it explained a lot about your species. That's kind of dark, Leo said. It's practical, Anna corrected. And it's why the Council ultimately approved humanity's application. You don't give up. You adapt. You lost your tails but gained something arguably more valuable, the ability to outlast any challenge. Leo had never thought about humanity's evolutionary history in those terms. He'd always seen their lack of a tail, their relatively weak sense of smell, their poor night vision as disadvantages compared to other species. But Anna was right. Humans had other strengths. So we're even then? Leo asked. I'll try to be less obvious about my tail fascination if you promise not to assume I'm being a creep. Anna's tail did a little flourish that Leo was beginning to recognize as the Vulpinian equivalent of a smile. Deal. Although I have to admit it's oddly flattering to know that what you were admiring was actually my tail. Your tail is very impressive, Leo said seriously. 10 out of 10 tail. Would stare again. This time Anna's laugh was genuine and warm. You know what, Leo? You humans might not have tails, but you do have something we Vulpinians value almost as much. What's that? The ability to laugh at yourselves. She stood up, stretching in a very cat-like manner despite being decidedly fox-like. Come on. I'll introduce you to some of the other Vulpinians. If you're going to be fascinated by our tails, you might as well understand what all the movements mean. Consider it a cultural exchange. As they left the observation deck together, Leo couldn't help but notice that Anna's tail was now swaying in loose, relaxed curves, a sign of contentment if he was reading it correctly. Maybe humanity's place among the stars wasn't about having the right evolutionary advantages or the perfect diplomatic protocols. Maybe it was about being curious enough to stare at things that fascinated you, brave enough to admit when you'd made a mistake, and adaptable enough to turn an awkward confrontation into the beginning of a friendship. And if that meant enduring a few more uncomfortable questions about his staring habits, well, that was a price Leo was willing to pay. After all, humans were nothing if not persistent.